Your child's anger isn't about behavior, it's about their nervous system overreacting. And here's how to break that reactivity cycle. So, anger is a stress response. It's not a conscious, willful choice of your child, even if it feels like it. Their nervous system is reacting to something in their environment. It doesn't have to be real and it can be perceived. Something is making them uncomfortable. And that anger is just a sign. And once a nervous system moves into a fight, flight, or freeze, boy, they're just not thinking clearly. I always talk about it that they move into the red. They just can't see anything but feel that irritant that is driving this anger. And when kids lash out, again, it's not about them, it's about their nervous system. It's not defiance, it's dysregulation. And biology is a part of that because when the autonomic nervous system, as I talked about, moves into fight, flight, or freeze, they're just not thinking logically. And you'd have better chance with a hostage negotiator than with a kid who's really dysregulated. So what are signs of nervous system dysregulation? So we have those very overstimulated responses like anger, jumping at, little things, trouble calming themselves down after being upset, just being frequently irritated and frustrated and annoyed. And then we have signs of understimulation, tuning out, saying huh and wah, being really unfocused, maybe being anxious. Those signs and the way that a nervous system dysregulates really can show up in a lot of ways, including anger. One of the most missed signs of really what's underneath anger is often anxiety. And, kids that worry a lot, they lash out. I rarely have a kid who's had long-term anxiety or OCD who doesn't show signs of anger. And so we think it's really something that we're consciously doing when you have, a child is consciously doing. It's just not the case, right? Here are some things that parents really have wrong about anger, right? So number one, they try to reason with a dysregulated child. As I said, you're going to have better luck with a hostage negotiator than an angry kid, teenager, young adult. The brain doesn't allow it. The frontal lobes go offline as a primitive, I'm going to call it a primitive reflex, but as something left over from primitive times of the cavemen so you can protect yourself without thinking. That's literally what happens when you activate in fight, flight, or freeze. I think one of the greatest mistakes I see parents make is punishing their angry child instead of taking a moment to co-regulate. Because when you regulate, right, your child will regulate off of you. And, just know that love and attention doesn't mean you accept their behavior. We always want to discipline and punish our kids. If that worked, we would be a different society. I think another big mistake is that they're ignoring early signs of the dysregulation. So we talked about some of those understimulated, behaviors. So a lot of times parents say, well, they're just being quiet. So I'm not going to let them be. I'm going to let them be because they are quiet. And really, those are early signs that they're starting to dysregulate. And only when the anger shows up do we know that they're really outwardly dysregulated. So, my kid's on their device, they're really quiet, or they're avoiding everybody, but they're quiet. I mean, those are reflections of dysregulation. I think the other huge mistake that this is why people fly in all over the world. It's for this one thing. It's that they get stuck in a reactivity cycle and they just don't know how to get out of it. If you are interested in working with us one-on-one, you go to drroseann.com/help and take a solution matcher, and that's going to guide you to the right solution for where you're at. When you're stuck in this reactivity cycle, a lot of times people just try the same things over and over because that's what your parents did. But when you start reframing things as nervous system dysregulation, right, you can really meet your kid's nervous system where it's at and think about what are ways that I can lovingly support that, giving them emotional words, and really how can I get through this? So let's talk about ways to stop an angry episode before it even starts. And I got 3 simple steps. So number one, I already talked about it. It's co-regulate, right? So if we co-regulate, if we calm our own nervous system down, One, we've literally become the benchmark, right? And so they can bring themselves down just by you being regulated, right? If you come in hot and you meet your kid when they're angry with your anger, you're just stuck. Don't feel embarrassed. Don't feel ashamed. Every parent does it, but you can't get stuck in it. That's not healthy. And you're really going to set them up for lifelong mental health issues. No offense, but it's the truth, right? So you want to lower your voice. Use maybe a gentle touch or some type of nonverbal cue. You can say, I'm here with you. We can get through this together. Who's going to continue to get mad at you or be stuck when you're like, I'm here with you, or a gentle touch, or even a hug? So I can't even tell you how many times I could see my Max in a flare state and I'd say, hold on. And he'd look at me and I go, I'm going to give you a hug. And he'd be like, oh. And he's a hugger. He needs deep pressure. And then he would be like, okay. And I would just be quiet, which is hard for me. And I would just let him, and we just have a hug. And then I'd be like, we don't have to talk about this now. We can talk about this when you're feeling more regulated. Yeah, I'm actually even getting emotional, even thinking about it and how powerful it really is. But you got to have it together, people. You got to have it together. Okay, 2, we want to identify triggers and patterns. Are there sensory triggers? Is there a noise? Is it a touch? Like, what is it? Is it a difficulty in transitions? I feel like transitions are such a major issue, especially coming off devices. Is there hunger and fatigue? Yesterday, Giancarlo came down and was like rude to me. And I was like, what is going on? It's a weekend. Sure enough, he's got the flu today. And I was like, this kid's getting sick. I knew it. So I let him know my boundaries, like, hey, and when he went to bed, I was like, you're feeling irritated. That's okay. I need you to say I'm feeling irritated, but do not yell at me. You want to really make sure that, potentially you're keeping a journal, you're looking for patterns. Again, you're not going to be able to look for patterns unless you're calming yourself down, but identifying triggers and being proactive and really talking about it with your kids. Just like I, shared that example with Max, like we talk about it and then we problem solve. Okay. Step 3 is you're going to teach ways to regulate all the time by modeling it, by talking about it, by actually doing it with your kids. And so there are so many things you can do, but I want you to keep it real simple. Number 1, the simplest thing you can do to calm yourself down is a diaphragmatic or a belly breath, right? So if you're listening or watching, I love me a good 4-7-8 breath. Breathing in for 4 seconds, you're holding for 7 seconds, and you're breathing out, right? You got a younger kid, you could do fake bubble breaths where they're, trying to pop imaginary bubbles. This is honestly quick. A grounding technique. So you see your kids about to dysregulate, like, okay, let's do a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which is 5 things you see, 4 things you touch, 3 things you hear, 2 things you smell, 1 thing you taste. It just disrupts the dysregulation and replaces it with something healthy. And, you really want to stick to a couple of things that are your go-tos. Like for me, it's breath. It's absolutely breath. Breath and probably prayer really resets me. Movement is a disruptor of dysregulation. Very, very helpful. It could be small movements. It could be doing, a figure 8 with your fingers and crossing your midline. That forces the nervous system to regulate. It gets oxygen to the frontal lobes. It just creates a shift. And if you get really good at this, you're realizing you need to do these things when they come off devices, when they get off the bus, when they're about to do a task that requires cognitive functioning, or you're asking them to do something. They really can reset the nervous system quickly. You just need to do them regularly, not just every once in a while, right? If you're not using your good moisturizer every day, your skin's not going to look great. But you use it every day, bam, you don't have wrinkles, And then also too, really doing a digital detox. So having times where you're not on your devices, the whole family, is just one of my big things that you need to do. I mean, you need time away. It's so activating for the nervous system. It really does lead to dysregulation, right? What do you say when your child is actually angry and fully in a flare? So 1, you're going to not say a lot. Okay. You're going to try to give nonverbal attention of some kind. Maybe you have a system where you're, saying number one, one, two, three, number one, do you want me to just be here and be quiet? Number two, do you want a hug? Number three, do you want me to go away? I just think the simplicity of that is awesome. And they're not going to be able to do it if you don't regularly do it. You got to just constantly use it, right? And these are for kids that dysregulate a lot, right? You can say something like, I can see you're really upset. I'm here with you. Okay. So even if your kid was just totally nasty to you, maybe they, just triggered your stuff because they were disrespectful, doesn't mean you're agreeing with them when you say, I'm here with you. Okay. Because you have to be the bigger person. You're an adult and they're learning. Your overreactions are only going to be fuel for the fire. So remember, okay, anger isn't about bad behavior. It's about nervous system overload. And when you do these things, particularly co-regulating, this is when the magic happens. If you want more support, you can go to drroseann.com/QuickCom and you can grab our kit that is just super simple, easy to use, more calm in 7 days.